Good evening, Gearheads. Welcome to your Sunday night with Speed City. We're really excited. There's so much going on. This is John Massengale sitting in the studio with Les Kaiser and the man who's forgotten more about Formula One than the two of us combined, Jonathan Green.
Juan Verdi, welcome
What?
back.
How are you, gentlemen?
I'm good.
Well, I am so excited for our show tonight because we have a ton to talk about, and we're 2 weeks out from the Formula One season. And we got news that's happening right now about Haas F1. We've got, as everyone probably knows, the Haas F1 team has dropped their Russian sponsor Uralkali, and they've also dropped their Russian driver Nikita Mazepin. And a lot of our show is going to be talking about that. We'll probably talk.
Call in. We want to hear your point.
Yeah, we want to hear what you think about all this, and we're going to talk about the Andretti F1 a little bit some more. We've talked about that quite a bit lately, but that's about as exciting as it gets for us. And we'll talk a little bit. We got MotoGP. This started up this weekend. A little IndyCar news talk about, but we're going to be mostly Formula One tonight. And I want to welcome everybody who's on YouTube and Facebook. Thanks for tuning in. And
I'll say one thing. Looks like somebody painted the town red this weekend. I didn't make it out to the track, but there was lots of red in town.
There was a Ferrari Challenge out at COTA. That was cool. But yeah, and if you're on Facebook or YouTube, feel free to chat in because we always take comments from any of those.
But if you're not, 512-643-5483.
Yeah, please call in. We'd love that. And we got some news about Speed City. We'll announce that later in the show. That's some very cool news.
Netflix, we've also got the news on that.
Yeah.
We can also tell people
We're
about
providing
the test in the test in Bahrain.
Yep.
Bahrain.
Bahrain.
It's dusty out there.
Yeah, contrary to popular belief and rumor, we will not be providing the driver to Haas. I'm busy that weekend.
It's been fun to take a break from the world right now and talk about and think about all the possibilities for Haas F1 now. But one of the things we're going to talk about, and we all had homework coming into tonight's show, and we don't know what the other ones, we haven't copied off each other's papers.
Homework?
About possible sponsors, not only possible drivers, but possible sponsors for for Haas F1.
I missed that. I didn't get the assignment.
Shut your mouth. Dog ate your homework, I know.
And
I have to go and sit in the corner again.
We had Gunther Steiner. If you haven't seen the interview, go to our YouTube page.
It's a goodie.
It's a fantastic interview that Bob Varsha did for us. And we'll have Bob back with us as soon as we start the Formula One season. But we talked with Gunther about what happened to the budget with Haas F1 without Uralkali. And he immediately said, we're going to be fine. And Jonathan, what did you say that you heard the rumors of dollars-wise that you think that they brought to the team?
Well, I think it's a little not unknown fact that the deal was $30 million for the Uralkali. There you go, $30 million for the Uralkali starter sponsorship. And if you weren't aware of what they did, they're the largest fertilizer producer in Russia.
Yeah,
that's a lot of shinola.
Okay, it is, and
it's a lot.
It's hit the fan.
Nicely played, gentlemen.
Well, let's send that one down the creek. Alrighty.
So I heard something about
$30 million, yeah, and that included Mazepin, the driver.
Well, I read an article today, about an hour ago, that said that number that we've been bantering about for how many years, a couple of years now, was high. I just read that may have been overestimated, which could also be the reaction that Gunther had about, okay, we're fine, because a $30 million hit is huge, but maybe it was only a $10 million hit, which is huge.
And I think you never know with Formula One, and you never know the truth, and people assume things and people pontificate. But I mean, that's a figure I heard with Mazepin and have read about Mazepin. It's a figure I've also seen connected to Guan Yu Zhao of the Alfa Romeo team as his money. And, and I think when Maldonado was in Formula One and the money he brought from Venezuela, that was I think about $30 million. So it's
kind of the number, isn't it?
Well, I said to you before the show, if you think about it, running one car for a season, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yep.
So
interesting. But Maldonado's also included the waiver that he had to pay for repairs.
So his was
I'm glad Mazepin didn't.
So let's talk about this. I mean, let's talk about the possible sponsors for Haas F1. And ideally, this would be an American company, a big, giant American company, and they would say, we're going to go and we're going to sponsor this and we're going to give you enough money to bring in an American driver. But there's so much complication to that. So let's talk American sponsors first. Celeste, you're grinning like a Cheshire cat. What do you got?
So I want to, mine, I took a little different rule that you didn't say. It's got to be American sponsor. It's got to be American company.
Why does it? Why?
Because national pride. And I think it would be easiest as a privately held company to do it.
Okay.
So, I thought of things that what are some privately held companies that maybe have an international presence, but it's not huge yet.
Right.
They need to grow that. So my first one might not be obvious. Cargill is one of the top food and beverage distributor groups in the United States, and they're behind a lot of other names. And they manage the distribution of a whole lot of food product.
That's one like you always talk about, Jonathan, a non-sexy company wanting to get into Formula One.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I like it.
So y'all want to hear the number 2?
Go on.
Sure.
So this one I've had some personal involvement with. Their current marketing addresses reaching over 80% female audience. But what if Airbnb came to Formula One and reached it? I used Airbnb VRBO when we went to Monaco.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Place
good
in
travel
Nice.
related, sure.
I think that's a really good one. The other one, fairly new to Formula One, Austin headquarters.
Which one?
Can we get them off Red Bull and move Oracle to Haas?
No.
I don't think that's going to happen.
Probably not. Probably not. I just kind of wanted to poke somebody in the ribs over there.
Plus, they've also just signed up with Miami for 9 years too.
Yeah. I mean, but Austin, I mean, you could limit the pool of sponsors to just Austin and probably have a pretty good shot at that.
Well, you could get a little sticker from each tech company in Austin for the Haas team and whatever.
Well, Dell has been on the side of a few cars, but not a big place.
Well, Jonathan, what about you?
Well, I have more. I think Infrastructure Week is much maligned here in the country, and I think just to give it some publicity would be good. Roads and bridges, rebuilding, that sort of stuff.
Okay.
So
what do you mean? What is Infrastructure Week?
It seems, I don't know. It's when you talk about what we're going to put better bridges up.
Okay.
Across the country. I'm being silly.
Oh, I thought it was some.
No.
I thought, okay.
But on a serious thing, I think the theme
That's a bunch
is
of malarkey.
Thank you. Thank you, Joe. Sorry.
Back to the sponsorship.
Yeah, no, but I do think on that vein, Haas or Gene Haas has been fairly uninterested when he started in having any interest in any major sponsors. In fact, Rich Energy was a throwaway, and he said it. He wanted to promote Haas automation. He's done that. And in fact, while a lot of the machining of a lot of the parts that they use and other teams use are made at Haas headquarters, and we confirm that with Gunter, I would like to throw out the #1 tractor maker in the world, Mahindra.
Ah. Okay. You stole some of my thunder. Did you see the announcement this last week where John Deere Tractors announced they're bringing their technology headquarters to Austin?
I did not.
And I thought, what a cool sponsorship to connect this slow 200-year-old tractor company and bring them into Formula One.
Well, I'll tell you where my Mahindra comes from.
Yeah.
Mahindra have been involved in Formula E.
Yeah.
They are the biggest. They're Indian.
Motorcycle.
Yeah, they're the biggest tractor maker in the world, basically based from India. They have a headquarters here in the States, and they currently sponsor Gene Haas's NASCAR team.
Oh, yeah. That's a good.
Okay.
And the other one that I noticed was Monster Energy.
Mm-hmm.
Gene Haas has a thing. So, in all seriousness, these are at least partners. Partners that, if you've got the job in the Haas team of going, well, where are we going to find those Americans? Why wouldn't you start with the partnerships that you have?
Yep.
And say, look, it's been a great relationship here in NASCAR. We're getting good coverage. And if Mahindra is willing to be in NASCAR, which makes a lot of, I mean, they're making tractors. It's a down-home sport for a lot of, farming communities. Everybody who watches NASCAR will be familiar with Mahindra, just as they are with John Deere. And JCB are currently involved, and they're not tractors, but they do make diggers. They're involved, as you know, with Aston Martin, and before that, Racing Point. So I guess I went for the easy, low-hanging fruit, which was to say, and why I said Infrastructure Week is, does Gene Haas want to kind of create a group of partners that are related to the machining industry and the construction industry, Caterpillar, who knows, John Deere, Mahindra. I mean, these are the people he is selling, his product to, which is a very successful product of machining, one of the best in the world. So what I'm getting at is that we might want to be more obscure. Don't think Coca-Cola, think on the lines of who Gene has been dealing with and who has been sponsoring Haas for a long time anyway. I don't know. It's just an idea.
I was thinking the same thing, is that we started this topic together. We were thinking American companies, it would be cool, but I think that it could be anybody, right? And my notes, I was thinking, I started with a couple of categories, and you and I have been talking a lot about it. Cryptocurrencies, digital currencies, and cybersecurity companies, both of those. And the other day I was telling, Jonathan and I were talking, and I said, man, cyber or crypto has become kind of like the new tobacco money in Formula One.
Yeah, it has,
Because tobacco money has a huge negative baggage associated with it. But crypto is kind of in the same vein, in that it has been maligned for its connection to like drug deals and other things.
And mining too,
and the economic, the environmental impact of the mining, right?
Mm-hmm.
But also,
what is it that they're mining? I've forgotten.
They're mining the bitcoins. It's basically just a mathematical computation of a ledger, and the ledger is getting bigger and bigger every time there's a transaction. It's bigger. And so the ledger now.
What is the physical mining of?
There's no physical. It's the environmental impact is the computers. It's the wattage of all the computers that are running all these mathematical calculations. It's insane. And what's funny is that the same components that do that mathematical calculation are the graphics cards that run the gaming industry. So the graphics, like NVIDIA, has become one of the biggest tech companies because of crypto. So it's a tangled web of ideas, but the reason I say that tobacco, because of the environmental impact, because of the drug deal, you can't trace the money like you can, but also just people don't understand it, just like you explained to you right now.
Yeah.
There's so much I just barely, I know a little bit about blockchain and all that, but there's a whole lot to this that I don't understand. But the bottom line is that there's a ton of money in it right now. And so I thought,
Dolly Parton's involved in blockchain.
She did
NASCAR.
She's going to be at South by.
Yep, that's
See?
right.
Is she on our
where did I pull that out from, right?
I know, that's true.
Come on.
All right, well, we got to take a break. And
Research.
Speaking of all of that, we're going to make an announcement when we come back from the break. You're listening to Speed City live from Austin, Texas. Back in a couple of minutes.
Hi, this is Gene Haas, and this is Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
All right, welcome back. I want to address a couple of comments on YouTube first. Ray says the sponsor stuff is conjecturing right now. Any actual conversations? None that I've heard. I haven't heard a single rumor that any conversations officially. And we're pretty tied into the Haas team.
I will answer one way. We played a quote from Gunther Steiner a few weeks ago where he admitted that they had dropped the ball. He didn't use the expression drop the ball, but they hadn't made a very good job at attracting American sponsors in the past. It was something they needed to address. Now, this was before any of the hoo-ha came about.
Yeah. And he did say, of course, how it's a much different environment. That's a quote from him. Now, the sponsor environment now. What do you got, Les?
There you go. D. Snelson mentions on Facebook stream that Mahindra makes perfect sense. Thinking even bigger, Indy's Tata Motors has tons of brands.
Yeah.
Are they in F1 yet? Just spitballing. Well, D, actually, if I recall correctly, Tata Motors is tied to the Tata Consortium, which also includes Tata's Communications, which is one of the biggest communications companies in MEA, basically.
And I think they're involved in Formula One directly, Tata. I think
They
do.
were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
think
and
they've
that's
stepped away,
another
but-
big company that has over the last few years, another Indian company that has got involved in motorsport. And I think you'll start to see names that you're not familiar with, or overly familiar with.
Yeah.
From countries like China and from India and places. So that's why I said to you, why does it have to be? And I really don't
doesn't
think
have to
Gene
be.
but I think Gene in NASCAR would be more wary of who he had sponsoring, right?
Yeah, he's going to choose this one carefully.
I mean, Uralkali, when it happened, we all went, oh.
Yep.
And I wasn't too worried about it until they put the Russian flag on it. And this is way before any of this happened, because I knew that being an American team and just the history, it would be, it's a bit of a, I don't know. It's just.
I mean, we've seen it on our social media and chats.
I don't mind the colors. There's nothing wrong with the Russian flag. I just didn't think it would get American fans all excited.
Well, we've
Right.
seen it, is that our fans, American fans, we just, in our sampling, that they don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they've said it. I don't like it. They said, I like the Haas team, but I don't like to get a Russian sponsor.
Yeah.
I do think that you've got to think in terms of global, and what you're really looking for is a Coca-Cola type product, let's say, or a household product like Heinz 57 ketchup, whatever. But isn't that one of those two I just mentioned? You need a company that is just sort of 5 years in, it's got a lot of notoriety. It may be in Walmart, or it may be, but is ready to go global.
Okay, but what about, let's look even further. We follow IMSA, we follow a lot of those. One of the campaigns that gets a lot of attention and apparently does well is Visit Florida. Imagine a tourism.
I did last week. I'm afraid I don't agree.
You don't have to.
They've sponsored cars and everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know what you mean.
They're involved.
They're all
for
over
sure.
the place, and why not an actual tourism?
And that's been done in Formula One before.
All right, well, I want to
ahead.
get to the drivers, guys. I'm itching to get to the drivers. But
all right.
before
Wait
we
a minute.
do,
On your John Deere,
yeah,
they've already got a proven, way cool color pattern with the yellow and green.
That's
Think
true.
back to the classic
Yeah,
Lotus
the
days.
Lotus.
that's true. That's true. They would have been the perfect sponsor for Lotus.
There
wouldn't
you
they?
go.
I've still got my Caterham hat.
Yeah, I do too.
I
I've
saw
got
it
a
a
lot
little
of
while back,
Caterham
too,
gear. All right, so let's talk about our announcement. We have two announcements, and one of them is we were planning on being at Bahrain or even the Barcelona test physically in person, but we couldn't make that happen. And then with what's going on in the world, weren't going to get on a plane. But we're going to be at several races this year. Of course, we're going to be at Miami. We're going to be at Canada. We're going to, of course, be here in Austin, and we'll be at Mexico City in person. But we are going to probably have a presence at almost every Grand Prix, and we're working on that. That's one announcement. We're kind of teasing you with that one.
There you go.
And
But-
on that, I would like to say to our listeners, because of that, let's start a new feature. And that feature, I haven't decided a name for it, but it doesn't matter. What we want is to hear from you, the fans, and what you would like to know from the principal people in Formula One, and we will get your question into the right hands. So, in other words, if you want to know from Lando Norris about gaming or something, I don't know. But if you've got a question for Gene Haas about whatever, we want you to be represented. That's the whole way this works, and we're the conduit to do that for you. And we've got a man on site to do it.
Yep. And the first assignment, I said, chase anybody American, and then we'll discuss it after that. But the big announcement is quickly that we got invited to do a podcast actually at South by Southwest.
Yeah,
Again.
baby.
Yep. This
It's
is actually
growing.
the second or third time we've had that invitation. It's a big deal, man. I'm really proud
No,
that
it
we got
is.
invited to do this.
It is.
And
It's-
if you're not familiar with South by Southwest, why don't
Yeah.
you tell them what this is and the reach?
I mean, it may be the biggest mega conference in the United States. It's one of the biggest for sure.
It's
and
where Twitter was invented.
It's where Twitter was.
Debuted.
It's where it debuted, actually. Yeah. They announced it at South by.
Yeah.
But I think that was about 2016.
That was
I think
there.
2017. Yeah.
Was that?
No. What am I saying? It was like
2016. No,
07,
07, dude.
Yeah, I was a decade off there.
Yeah.
But we're going to do a podcast there, and it's going to be Tuesday the 15th at 4 o'clock. If you happen to be going to South by, go to their podcast stage, and we're going to be doing it there. And I don't even know all the details yet. I don't know if we can stream it live. If we can, it'll probably be through their platform.
Yeah.
I don't know. We're working on some cool guests for that. We're going as high as we can go for that. We'll see.
And I would argue that what we're going to be talking about is kind of what we're talking about now, but it's going to be the growth of interest in Formula One in America and the future for American influence on Formula One from America. So that includes Haas, that includes Andretti, that includes Dorrant Capital from Williams. It includes principals like Zach Brown and Otmar Safmar and like drivers like Logan Sargent and so on.
Yep.
And y'all got to stay tuned. Wait till we are able to confirm our guest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we're working on it. Nobody's confirmed yet.
Can
notice. They only give us 2 weeks notice.
Can I stop the show?
Yes.
Kevin Kelly's in a tornado. He's still listening to Speed City. Love you.
Nice job, Kevin.
Way to go.
Get under the desk.
He says, in a tornado, but still got to watch my SCB.
There you go. Thanks, man. Be careful on that Miata. That's small enough to wind up in Kansas.
Oh, baby.
All right, let's talk drivers because Pietro Fittipaldi is confirmed that he's going to be at the test because it's happening too fast. We knew that. We kind of broke that news that 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago where Gunther said the first phone call is Pietro. Of course, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's there for, right? For that first phone call. But after that, the sky is the limit. And so
Hamilton's out, though, yeah?
I tweeted out earlier a meme that I found on my son told me about it. It's Reddit. What's it called? It's Formula Dank or something. It's a hilarious Reddit thread if you're on Reddit.
SNL version.
Okay, yeah. It's so anyway, but drivers. So I talked about last week that Antonio Giovinazzi was kind of the first thing everybody's saying. But there are so many options. Jonathan, I want to start with you. What do you think are the options and maybe a prediction?
I think for me, Pietro Fittipaldi, he did 2 Grand Prix when Grosjean was injured and out of the seat. He did a brilliant job, I thought. As we know, for the last 2 years, Haas has not been a competitive car. He came in. He was pretty much, according to Gunther, was at every round there and ready. He has the experience. He's got a good head on his shoulders because to be thrown into that maelstrom of the main driver leaving and then being told you're doing the job at a moment's notice, pretty impressive.
But, okay, and I love Pietro Fittipaldi. I am really excited about the possibility that it could be a permanent seat. But going back at his history, he doesn't have something, what was he in Formula 3.5?
Yep.
Yeah, he won that in 2017, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's the best thing on his resume to put you into Formula 1 because that Formula Renault back when it was kind of like Formula 2 as far as the ladder in Formula 1,
and he's
right?
also done some Indy.
Yeah.
He's also raced in Asia and places like that. He
did a little stock car racing in North Carolina.
Yeah, there you go. He's had a roundabout way, not the obvious way. But he's got the credentials.
But he struggled in Formula 3 and in IndyCar a little bit. And I'm just, looking at his resume.
Yeah.
I mean, champion of Formula 3.5 is great.
Yeah. The weak side, if you will, for him is that lack of real F1 time because of Haas's. Now, if he were George Russell, for example, and he was the reserve driver, and they had the same budget, he would have been in the sim every day. He would have been doing, he would have been in an old car at different tracks that aren't Formula One. He would have had a lot more experience under his belt. It's just not possible at Haas. So the flip side is that bringing him in alongside Mick, who has had 1 year of experience, they're both dealing with a new car, and as you saw in testing, what was it, porpoising?
Porpoising, yes.
Yeah, there's things like that.
Drink. Yeah.
We have to drink every time somebody says
apparently it's a new game.
Between now and the end of the season. All right, you're the only one with a drink. So.
Don't tell an Englishman he's got to drink every time something's said.
All righty.
So the drawback for Gunther and Gene would be to put Fittipaldi in the seat now. They still have 2 very junior drivers to try to get competitive again. They made some inroads last year, but with 2 novices. Do they want to kind of have another year where they're learning? Yep. And so Antonio Giovinazzi would be the obvious with a bit more experience, in fact, a lot more experience. And also, he is, of course, the Ferrari reserve driver, as is Mick.
But he also, Antonio Giovinazzi has, I mean, doesn't he have, I was thinking if he had another negative, but I may be thinking of another driver. I've got a whole bunch of drivers list. Now, I don't think it was Antonio.
Who else is on your driver's list then?
All right. So I've got him kind of in categories for one.
Oh.
So in IndyCar drivers, right? Everybody's been talking about Colton Herta, but obviously he's got his allegiance to Andretti, and unless there was
Doesn't
a
have his points
clawback,
yet.
yeah, and he doesn't have his points yet, right? He would have a clawback probably. I'm going to come back to Andretti. The same thing with Oscar Piastri, Formula 2 champion 2021. I mean, isn't that kind of you go there?
Oh,
one of your first.
He is. Everybody's saying
Yeah.
that he should have a seat, but there just isn't one for him.
Yeah.
He's capable, absolutely.
I mean, he's the Formula 2 champion from last year. So
Mick was the one before.
he's a Renault contracted driver and probably the long-term replacement at Alpine for Fernando. I think that's kind of was the path for him.
Right.
Or is he Andretti's new driver, given
Yeah,
the Renault
yeah.
contact?
But going back to IndyCar, so Colton Herta, like you said, Les, Colton doesn't have enough super license points today. Alex Palou and Callum Ilott.
Ferrari connected.
Ferrari, yep, that's right. So those were kind of on my short list there.
All righty. So since we're talking IndyCar, I'm going to start my list backwards because the first two I agree with y'all. Nico Hulkenberg.
The Hulk. There's a
He
lot of
did not take his NASCAR offer, so he's not.
He
you know,
didn't
he's
take his
not-
Indy
or,
offer.
excuse me,
He didn't get an
offer.
Indy offer, yeah.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, has he got
And
a
so he's-
NASCAR offer?
Yeah, it's IndyCar is what I meant to say on that. So he's capable of going back, and he's a quality driver.
To be honest, the Hulk would be a really interesting take for Haas to nurture Mick Schumacher further and also bring a
Exactly.
lot of experience. I mean, he has the experience of a Grosjean and a Magnussen. You know, he really does. Or how about Magnussen back? Well, didn't he say that he would be around in 2021 whenever he could be to help the new drivers? Because there was a sort of
he
a
did
sense
say that.
he didn't leave on bad terms.
I don't think it would be a bad choice.
It would be a very
No.
good choice.
Yeah.
All right, we got to get a break in. We got some good comments. I want to address Scott Bagley's comments. There's some other ones in here too on Facebook.
Hey,
I mean,
Paul's
on
got
YouTube.
some here on Facebook. We'll catch up.
All right,
with.
let's get a break in real quick. We'll be right back. It's Speed City live from Austin, Texas. Back after these.
Hi, this is Jeff Gordon, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
Jeff Gordon, there's another one.
Thank
for
you,
your
Wonder
list.
Boy.
What, dust him off?
Yeah.
I like that.
Hey, we got a ton of great comments.
Yeah, I've got some here too. What do you got?
Well, my favorite is Paul Bryan from Facebook.
Oh, no.
He says the negative on Giovinazzi, man bun.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
There you go.
It's just not right.
Never been a fan.
I mean, it's just not right. You're Formula One. I mean, you don't need a man bun.
yeah.
You're
Wait,
cool.
Do you ever need a man bun?
I don't know. You
Oh,
don't
wait,
need a man bun.
oh.
And what's a man bun for?
I don't know. I don't
Cut
really.
your hair. Let it low.
Okay,
Get your Jesus creepers on. It's all good.
so I agree.
Man bun.
Giovinazzi, number 2 on my list. He's quality. He's skilled. I think he could do better than what we saw. I think he's a good guy, and he's without a seat right now.
Oh, he's an excellent driver. So
we'll
there's
get
no
a
doubt.
Supercuts haircut on the guy, and he's in, right?
Absolutely.
Supercuts. Now there's a good sponsor for you.
Boom.
There you go.
Okay, let's see.
My number 1 was
Oh, you're still going to your drivers.
yeah.
Okay.
Pietro. Totally agree on this, but there's one aspect that now is in play. With a name like Fittipaldi, granddad's name too, formidable racer, don't you think there's some sponsorship money that a Fittipaldi on the side of the car could bring?
Fittipaldi's made his own supercar, so he could promote that, Mr. Emerson has.
So
Okay.
I think there's a dual.
Plus, there's
Dual
Brazilian
approach.
money, perhaps, because
Yeah.
he is a Brazilian stroke American.
So,
So
that's
I
my
still
question.
agree. Fittipaldi.
That's my question about Fittipaldi. So he's born in Miami, but he flies under the Brazilian flag.
Mhm.
Flies. I did that last week. He races under the Brazilian flag. So what if he just said, "I'm going to race under the American flag"?
Oh, he could, yeah, and he should.
Yeah.
To be honest.
I wouldn't
mean-
be surprised if he's dual citizenship, so he can do either.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, his citizenship status. I mean, he's born in the
He was
United
born
States.
in the United
So
States.
that
So
means
he is an American.
He is an American, so he might have
Dual
Brazilian.
citizenship. Yeah, he will.
But so my point is that say, hey, I'm an American. I'm racing under an American flag, and I've got this new American sponsor. Bring that.
There you go.
Hey, here's some really good ones. Is Tony Stewart on the list? Thomas Steele says.
Not with that greased back hair. That's as bad as a man bun.
We've lost Kimmy. Tony Stewart could fill
yes,
on the
good
radio.
point.
There you go. That'd be
Hey, I got
entertaining.
this. Leave me alone. I
One-
like this one. How about this one? W Series driver may attract big sponsors. True.
Yes.
But I've got a sort of
Yeah,
the
you gotta-
antithesis. Well, I'll give you an example. Who is this that wrote this? Ray. Ray. Yeah, I think that's a great idea, and I am all about women in motorsport, and I have been for many years. In terms of, I just think it would be such a dynamic, and we've got one female at the moment, Jamie Chadwick. She's the two-time W Series champion, but nobody gave her a drive in FIA F3. She stays at the W Series, and in fact, she's joined the new American team, Caitlyn Jenner's team.
Yep.
And so, this to me validates, or just as an exclamation point on why the W Series exists at all.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
She
Is it doing
solid.
what it should do?
Yeah. And
Well, she
so-
was connected with Formula One teams, and she still is. But I would like to see somebody like her get a reserve driver. Let's say Pietro gets the drive. Then, if you want to market, Jamie's brilliant. I mean, she's actually, and
Oh,
you know
yeah.
what? She is actually an ambassador for IBM at the moment.
Yeah.
As we know, she's been on our
is
screens.
the most impressive young driver that I've spoken to ever.
Yeah.
I mean, as a young driver, I mean, she was so poised, and I mean, she
To be
was
honest,
sharp.
all of those women were really impressive. The ones we only spoke to, what, 5 or 6 during the Formula One weekend, but all of them were really switched on in terms of their marketing and their abilities and where they wanted to go, and also their personalities. They were good people.
Yeah. Yep. Sorry, I was digging through the notes. Did you talk about the fact that she's coming back, right? So Jamie Chadwick, she's coming back. She's already won it twice. It's kind of a shame for the W Series.
It is basically a failure for the WC Series that she has to come back for a third year to defend her second title. She's already too good. She's the best driver there, and she can't
Clearly.
get an FIA F3 drive. And I think that.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether the FIA should be pushing harder to help along, just like India.
So does she bring? She's a IBM spokesperson, but does she bring money?
That I don't know. I doubt it.
I don't think so. I think we would have.
But
heard that.
IBM have got it, got money.
Yeah.
But she is. I mean, she's on national TV most weekends with those ads we've seen.
IBM ads, yeah.
Yeah, that. But like I said, that's one of those absolutely quality all the way around in the driver's seat on the track. I really feel like focus is not that she hasn't delivered and the W Series hasn't produced it. I feel like everybody's looking at FIA going, here you go. Why isn't somebody grabbing this?
Yeah.
And bringing this driver onto a primary grid.
Yep. I don't know. I'd love to see her because she's so exciting. I mean, and I'd love to see that. But it's a tough road what she's trying to do. It's so complex.
And by the way,
right?
the W Series is still very young. It's still, it's finding its way. I love the fact that it's connected, i.e., it's on the same weekends as Formula One, because that's the best coverage stroke, I guess, vibe that they can get, because that's real stuff. They're racing on the same tracks as the Formula One drivers are that weekend, so they're under the same sort of, they're going to get an audience. They're going to get watched. We saw them last at Austin, and it was a good show, and everybody did. Everybody said, that was great. I had no idea there was a female series and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
A couple more comments. One was on my list. I didn't say it out loud, but Scott Begley says Newgarden would be awesome, and that's he's definitely on that list.
and he's good enough. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah.
By the way, I want to put that away for a second, for a start. You only need to see what Rossi and Marcus Ericsson are up against, and Alonso are up against week in, week out at Indy. Half the Indy field are capable of Formula One. Make no mistake of that.
Okay.
Right.
Thomas Steele says, I'm a lot more excited to see how Haas does now. New car, new driver, and new sponsor? Question mark. Let's go. And
Yeah.
I totally agree with all that.
And what a positive. Thanks, Thomas.
Yeah.
Because they've been in the doldrums a little bit. Have Haas? They've signed up for 5 years. They're here for the long run.
And they came out of the gates
I know.
like gangbusters, and ever since Rich Energy, it's been downhill from there.
Yeah, they lost a lot of energy with the rich people, as it were. This is a new season, a new chance, and they've been chomping at the bit for 22 to come along because they wrote off 2021, which is unheard of in Formula One terms. Just to be literally following along at the back, as Williams have done, as Alfa Romeo have done, as Caterham did, and HRT did, but all of those teams have bounced back, as McLaren did 5 years ago, 4 years ago. So it's a good subject, and I think Giovinazzi's the obvious one because of the experience.
Yeah,
Fittipaldi stays where he
or
is.
Piastri. Don't you think that Giovinazzi and Piastri?
No, I think Piastri's got no experience in Formula One.
Well, sorry, I just meant as clear choices to look at. You think?
Yeah. I mean, he is available. He didn't get a drive,
right?
But he's connected to Renault. It's I think you've got to look towards the Ferrari Academy as being the obvious. I mean, and one man who's just on the periphery and was a Ferrari driver, Academy driver, Marcus Armstrong, currently in Formula 2, was a Ferrari Academy driver until the end of last season. Another Kiwi coming up. Got a lot of good credentials, done all the FIA F3s, won races in F2.
Yep. All right, going back to what Thomas said, Thomas Steele on YouTube said about Haas, and he's excited and all that. New team, new sponsor, and all this. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I know the rules, the new 2022 rules, talk about CFD time, right? And so it's kind of like the NFL draft. You win the Super Bowl, you get the last draft.
Right.
CFD time, wind tunnel time, computational fluid.
What is CFD?
Computational fluid dynamics. It's basically aerodynamics, the science of aerodynamics, right?
Yeah, I think you can get some cream for that.
I had CFD. It's very uncomfortable.
Not good. Yeah.
But the fact that Haas F1 now gets the most CFD time, I'm assuming that started at the end of last season.
When they were last.
Right, when they were last.
So it goes
going
up.
into this season. So Thomas is excited about all this. So that's another reason to be excited because they've had the most CFD time and potentially have a leg up on the other teams in all that aerodynamic study, of which we know it's a huge time to have that because we've switched to the ground effects. This is a new era in Formula One.
Kevin Kelly's just got down from a tree he was hanging on to and says, Gio's got a strong Formula E contract, but I would bounce back.
Good point.
Yeah, but I'd bounce back and say
That's true.
Might be a strong contract, but if somebody dangled a chance to get back in Formula One, he'd take it.
Yeah, but it's with a golf cart company.
Yeah. I can't believe Casey, the producer, did not play the Formula E. He was obviously eating.
He was chomping at the bit. Don't though, because I'm going to take my headphones off.
Here it comes. Yeah.
He's digging it up.
No, don't.
We got to take a break. We got one more break to squeeze in. And
just to address one comment, we're not going to tell you it's Will Buxton that's joining us. You'll just have to wait.
Will is too busy, but I tell you what, you won't be disappointed. Will Buxton is a fantastic journo in Formula One, but you won't be disappointed if we get.
He'd be too busy picking out his trouser color for that.
And the socks.
And his cowboy boots for Austin. Okay, we're going to stop. We're going to break. You're listening to
Love you, Will.
There it is. Is that the dentist? No, that's Formula E.
That's Formula E, baby.
All right, we're going to a break. We'll be right back after these messages.
Hey, this is Tony Stewart, and you're listening to Speed City.
Welcome back to the fastest hour in radio, Speed City.
That little welcome back from Tony Stewart, that was one of my favorite interviews. We sat around a table with Tony at COTA in the media center and just chatted away and found out his feelings about everything from the Toyota Prius and more. But hey, guys, I want to ask you, Jonathan, a couple of questions. Because
can I finish off the subject from the previous break?
Yes, sir, of course.
Well, I just tuned in, because I'm tech savvy, as you know, to official testing for Super Formula. Thank you. For testing for Super Formula. which is on right now, and I've got the timing screens up.
Awesome.
And I've just add another name that we have forgotten, who fits and is in the criteria.
Okay.
Giuliano Alesi.
Alesi.
Yeah. Alesi, yeah.
He's been around for a while. He was in the Ferrari Academy,
so
therefore ticks that box. He's currently 5th fastest in testing
Super Formula.
in Super Formula. So what I'm getting at is there's a name that hasn't got the Formula One, is going like
Super
Gasly.
Formula is a pretty competitive place to.
Well, many have. Gasly, you name it, all went through the Super Pato Award. So, that's left field. But who knows?
Yep.
Anyway, carry on.
Okay, my question for you. Last week, we talked about the possibility of an Andretti Haas F1 team. And I said, you have these two huge egos, which is great. That's how you get to be a captain of industry, right? You've got a big ego and you've got a lot of smarts. You got Gene Haas, you got Michael Andretti, and everybody's like, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. But as Toto Wolff and Christian Horner said, that's a lot of money. We're approaching $1 billion. What do you think about the possibility of that?
Won't happen.
Okay. Why not?
There's too much in play already for both teams. Haas is effectively carving out the junior team for Ferrari. Alfa Romeo have kind of, and as you know, Andretti tried to buy Alfa Romeo, and they weren't willing to give him controlling interest. So to me, the fact that we're talking about Ferrari, exactly. We're talking about Ferrari backup drivers as being the obvious for Haas. So Haas has placed itself and has now got 70 people on the Maranello grounds and so on. They took on, and in fact, as Ferrari had to squeeze down its workforce because of the
salary cap.
They got. Is it Resta? Da Costa? I think it's Da Costa. The top chassis guy.
Yep.
What I'm getting at is that there's a huge good feeling between Ferrari and Haas. And bringing Andretti in, I'm not so sure. Michael's a big businessman. He knows what he's doing. He's got his own biosphere as well, if you like, of different teams and different thing. I just don't see it. And let's face it, Andretti has not been in NASCAR. They've not rubbed shoulders, him and Gene. I think Gunter would be fine with it. But I think from everything I've heard from Mario, because we haven't really heard that much from Michael, they've got a Renault contract. They've got the money down. It would seem strange now to suddenly. And when they were going for the Alfa Romeo things, the Alfa Romeo story, they said, have you had talks with Gene Haas? And he said, we did briefly, and it was not a go. And I don't think that's going to change.
I think that went something like, who on the phone? Yeah, tell Mike to leave a message.
The first thing that I thought of when I thought of a Andretti Haas F1 team was the fact that, okay, Andretti's going to spend at least $500 million, right? All told. He could, if he's handed that $500 million to Gene Haas, who is a businessman first, and said, here's a return on your investment. That's just one possibility.
Okay,
I know it's
one way it could become a possibility is, and I'm sure we're going on to talk about this. At the moment, there are 10 franchises effectively, and I use the word cunningly but carefully because F1 isn't known for its franchises, but it's becoming that way. In other words, if you add an 11th team, that takes money away potentially from the current teams because everybody's got to share the pot. And so if Haas don't get through, if Andretti don't get through the process of applying for the 11th franchise or the 11th team, I think the maximum you told me this was 12, then that could be a backup plan, would be to go back to Haas and say, look, we've got the money, we're ready to go, we've got the driver. That's the other thing I haven't mentioned. Andretti have got its driver, Colton Herta.
Yeah.
So again, where does Colton fit into that? And I think that's why it makes sense for them to do it cleanly with their own team.
Yeah. Okay, I had another question for you, and that was, so last week I said Toto Wolff and Christian Horner were poo-pooing the idea of the
how English of you.
Yes, and they were talking, it's going to take $1 billion. We're not sure that's going to dilute the money. And I said, are you freaking kidding me? It's Andretti, and they're going to bring the United States momentum with them. I mean, I think that's a silly argument because I think that Andretti could get enough money behind him and bring the television market and all the money that's in the United States and all the sponsors and all that. I just think
how many Mercedes are sold in America?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I agree with you. I think there's a little chest puffing done by Toto. Is Christian saying the same? I think
he
they're
was actually.
Yeah, I think they're playing a little hardball as the current leaders of the game. And this is our sandpit. Yeah, you got a big name, but we're quite happy without you. Thanks.
Well,
So yeah.
I told John last week.
As Steve McQueen would say.
Yeah, there you go.
I told John last week. It reminds me of that German journalist that he thought it was that the Americans were coming to Formula One.
Yeah.
Brandon Simmons on YouTube says, "No way, Michael buys Haas."
Okay.
Let's see who else. No more comments at this time. So I had another topic for you, Jonathan. Oh, by the way, speaking of all these, I want to thank everybody we crossed 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We didn't really start putting much effort into our YouTube channel until a few months ago.
I put on a clean shirt.
But thanks everybody for tuning in.
Hey, here's a good comment. The FIA does not give enough points or respect to IndyCar.
Yeah, that needs to be changed.
Really
Thanks,
good point.
Yep.
That needs to be changed because Indy's gain, Marcus Ericsson, Rosenquist, Rossi, Alonso, is F1's detriment. Where is it going the other way? There's plenty of IndyCar drivers without a drive.
They want the American market. How about some IndyCar drivers there?
Yeah.
So I'll be the cynic on that. Well, they're saying, well, yeah, it's easy. So you made it to 12th grade, but you didn't actually pass and get to the front of you didn't cross the stage at the end of the year. But we'll let you go back to 11th grade.
Wait, are you looking at my previous...
Your transcript, yeah.
Your transcript. That's the word.
The principal's going to have a discussion with you. But anyway, if they really do, have a condescending attitude towards IndyCar, well, step down from, 12th grade and go back to 11th grade at IndyCar is the way I view that perception. That they see it as a step down, or it's your curtain call to finish your career somewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, I see it up close. I do the the FR, Formula Regional, and F4 here in America, and some great talent. Hunter Yaney will be on the grid for FIA F3 this year. We've had Cameron Dass, as you know, Kyle Kirkwood came through.
We haven't talked about Kyle Kirkwood yet.
Who's now a current Indy driver. The trouble is, and you do get super license points for winning Formula 4 or winning FR, but it's just, the obvious choice for a winner of FR, and by the way, there is a scholarship to go to Super Formula, but the current champion, Kifyan Simpson, chose to go Road to Indy because he sees that as a much more attainable, whereas F1 is, unobtainable in many ways.
Yep.
Because it's full of unobtainium.
Guys, we hadn't even talked about, we were going to touch on a couple of things. I watched the MotoGP race. I was actually doing other things. I was working on my car with my son, but I watched the MotoGP.
When are you not ever working on your car with your son?
I don't know.
When the fuel doesn't leak out.
Okay.
Yeah, he got the fuel leak fixed. I drove the roof, so the fuel stopped.
But yeah, it's great that
he was still
MotoGP's
late.
back.
I know it's back. I was super excited. I had it on. I was excited. I didn't really see a whole lot of action. I saw the big Ducati crash.
Qatar, I still don't think it's a great track for. It's got a great long straight, and it can produce. It has produced some good races. This wasn't one of them, but it was a good story. And Enea Bastianini won his first ever MotoGP race, and he did it basically gave it to what's the word? Dedicated it to Fausto Grassini, who was his former boss who passed away. Fausto Grassini was a big wig, was responsible for so many young riders' careers over the past. I remember him as a 125 rider back in the day, but he became a team manager, and he was such a loved team manager, and like I said, has fostered the careers of several youngsters, including Enea. So of course he dedicated the race too.
Well, I'm going to highlight one of our friends from the MotoGP world, and that was Brad Bender on his KTM.
Did a great job.
Second place. I only saw some highlights of it, but how cool was that? And then if that wasn't cool enough, the Espargo boys came in, and then was the first Mark
Yeah,
was
and by the
back
way,
in fifth.
Mark, that was the most important headline for me. Mark Marquez is fully fit for 2022.
Yeah.
Look out, kids. He's
Yep.
back.
Well, and I thought that, but he's fifth place right now.
Yeah. He's not. I mean, I think he's been
He's
that
not-
shoulder injury and a whole year out has made him grow
rusty,
up a little.
Little rusty. Oh, well, that too.
Yeah,
He's not.
if you remember,
not
he did
fearless.
that a week after he hurt himself at Jerez, and it was like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
The
Hey,
other
we got
story.
1 minute left.
1 minute.
Yep.
Story. Don't forget the Americans. Now's the time to tune in to MotoGP. We have some skin in the game. 3 riders: Dylan Kelly, Cameron Bobier, Joe Roberts,
There you
all
go.
racing in Moto2.
Awesome. Hey, I know we have literally 30 seconds to talk NASCAR. Who won? I missed it because I was on the way to the studio.
Oh, forgotten already.
I know. You said you came in and said, hey. He was,
Bowman.
Oh, Bowman.
Alex Bowman beat Kyle
What'd you think
Larson. Finally.
What'd you think about Danica in the booth? Says
Very good.
Scott Begley.
Really good. Actually,
I think it
I
was.
actually think she could find her way there, and she didn't hold back. She's always been fairly strident. I think her and Boyer, good. I like it. I like the whole.
So they discussed how some of the drivers' legs are going numb, and she talked
Yes.
about the pedal
Eric
configuration
Amarola.
was changed from being
Yeah.
suspended on the floor. You know, the differences between those two positions.
Yeah.
All right, everybody, we got to go. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And check out our website, speedcitybroadcast.com. You can find out where we do the Formula One, the official broadcast for Formula One National Radio. And, of course, stay tuned all week long on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, all the above. We'll talk to you next Sunday night.
Happy
Ciao, y'all.
trails.